Hello! So today is going to be a Kalista game. So for those of you that may have not been playing as much of the patch or maybe been taking a break from TFT, basically Kalista's been strong for many consecutive patches. It's been like almost like 6 weeks because it's like 3 patches now that Kalista Rakan 5 Faerie setup is one of the strongest comps in the game. If you're trying to rank up and you're trying to climb, this is the comp that you want to play. You want to play this comp as much as you can. And it's very reliable. This is like the quote-unquote default comp. If you don't know what you're playing, a lot of times you just lean towards Kalista, especially if it's uncontested. Nowadays, there's a little bit more variance in comps, so Kalista is generally a little bit less contested than some of the other ones, which actually is really good. It makes it so that you can play it a little bit more often and usually have really good placements with it. When I'm talking about Kalista, what I'm usually talking about is just the 5 Faerie setup. You basically stack Gwinsus on Kalista, you play around Rakan, Faerie armor on Rakan, Rakan's unkillable, and you're really good. Now, the reason this comp is very strong, so this is the main reason that this comp is really strong, is because of how stable it is with 1-stars. So you can sacrifice your early game. A lot of times you'll see me or other players lose streak really early, build up a really large amount of econ. It allows you to hit really hard when you actually go for your level 8 roll down, and it additionally gives you priority pick on the carousels. So on the carousels, you're prioritizing getting bows, building those Gwinsus, so you have good items. You guarantee at least one perfect item for one of your units, have a bunch of gold, and then because it's stable on 1-star Kalista and 1-star Rakan, when I say stable, you win a couple fights, you might lose a couple fights, but you're not going to lose that much HP, then your stage 4 actually gives you a lot of time in order to hit your board. You're not like frantically scrambling because you lack damage or you lack tankiness. It is ridiculously stable at even a 1-star version of the units, and that's why you see a lot of people play towards it. So here, I started the game off. I have pretty much a mage opener. I wanted to play mages this game. You can probably see it's like, well, you're playing Vigor. Why aren't you playing Vigor? Well, this guy took Flexible and he got a mage emblem. And then this guy started with a Vex and he already took a Lynchbane with a blue buff. So I run into the problem of not necessarily being able to play around mages. Instead, because of component anvils, I can actually just take Gwinsu components and I can play towards Kalista. Just to show you in terms of stats, right? I'll show you with the 2-star because obviously this is showing like end game stats. If you take Kalista and Rakan, you put them both at 2-star, it averages well into the 3s. It is very strong. You have a very high top 4 percentage. So long as you're not super contested, it is ridiculously strong. Just to make sure that it's the right comp, I'll also put Zilean 2, and you'll see that it averages like well above a 3. Sorry, well above a 4. It's a very stable, it's a very consistent comp. It's been like that for a while. They tried to nerf it a little bit, and then they like reverted the changes to like a lot of the aspects of it. So it's still really broken. So you should almost always play it. When you're not exactly sure what to play, or you don't have necessarily the greatest spot, you should always default towards this comp. That's just the way the patch is kind of played. It's hard to default towards a reroll comp because you need to have a lot of copies of the units in order to hit everything. And it's hard to default towards a lot of other 4-cost comps because I feel like in general, the flexible, if you try and play too flexibly, you're not in that great of a spot because it doesn't like have the win out potential or the stabilization potential that Kalista and Rakan has. But anyways, your board pretty much always looks like this. It's very boring after you play it like 2 or 3 times. But as you can see, there's many reasons. You don't need to have Milio here. This is just like the end game scenario. But you can play like a low cost Faerie unit. So for example, I'll just put Tristana in. If you look at this board, besides Kalista and Rakan, this board is very cheap. Lilia, Jax, Katarina, Hecarim, Tristana, Zilean, they're all very inexpensive units. Katarina doesn't even matter in a lot of cases, so you don't even have to upgrade Katarina. She's just there for the synergy. And then Hecarim you can upgrade, and Jax you can upgrade, but everybody's very inexpensive, and that's what helps to make this board very reliable, is that you don't have to have a lot of moving parts. You don't have to buy like a bunch of 4 costs and maybe even a 5 cost to make things work out. You just need these general synergies. You always want to have Chrono in. Zilean's really important because Chrono gives you the healing with 2 Chronos, so you just play Zilean for that. And you want Preserver in always because Rakan is going to be your main tank, and Preserver is going to help out your whole board to have a lot of sustain. And then you're just playing around having multi-striker in for Kalista. Typically, the best items you can make on Kalista is double Gwinsu, and then the last item she's going to get the Faerie Crown. On Rakan, it's always going to be armor on Rakan. I think in general, usually the go-to build is usually like Gargoyles, because he's solo frontline a lot of the time, and Warmogs, just to give like the extra HP. It also makes Rakan 1 very tanky with Preserver, as well as like his general ability scaling off of HP a bunch. And this is typically what your board is, and then you're just building your utility items later. A lot of times you'll just stack utility items on a late game Milio, who will drop items for everybody else. Jax you can swap out for Camille as well. Has the exact same traits, and that's how you can kind of cap your board out late game. When you're late game, I think there's like two different options you can go for if you make it to level 9, for example. You can play around Tom Kench. Hecarim gives you like base, Hecarim Arcana basically just gives you base extra AD, as well as gives you a bunch of durability, so it's really nice to take to Arcana the Hecarim. But you can also play around Morgana and just stack an extra Preserver, especially if you have Morgana too. A lot of times I feel like it's a little bit better than playing Arcana around Hecarim. But that's typically the board. One thing you should note is that you should never super duper greed for Kalista items, right? In your mid game, if you have something like a Last Whisper, you can just play it on Kalista. It'll be fine. Obviously, Guinsoo is like Gigabis, right? It's really good, but like, you know, don't get too caught up in that, especially also with tank items. As long as you can make a tank item, right? Crown Guard's a little bit expensive to make, but you know, for example, like even a Protector's Vow, there's lots of items that you can make here to substitute. You want to try and like ideally get like a Gargoyle and a thing. The most important thing though is a Guinsoo. If you don't have a Guinsoo on Kalista, this unit doesn't work. You literally need a Guinsoo. You need at least one. If you don't have one Guinsoo, you're fucked. So that's why a lot of times you will lose streak early game. You'll lose streak early game to try and make sure that you guarantee at least one Guinsoo, and then you can worry about your late game later. So if you look at my board, I'm basically just playing a little bit of mages here. I'm lose streaking. I'm Tiniest Titan, so I'm very rich. As you can see, I'm 50 gold on level 4. I'm in a really good spot to turn this game around. And the reason it's so strong, like I said before, it's an inexpensive board, and you only need one copy of Kalista and one copy of Rakan, and then usually you're okay on stage 4. That's the main reason why people play towards this comp and not other comps. You might ask, like, okay, well, why don't you just play towards Karma, Fiora, Gwen? Well, it's way more expensive. The units die a lot more easily. I would rather have Kalista 1, Rakan 1 than have Fiora 1, Gwen 1, Karma 1, right? Like, it's just like, you know, it's a much harder nut to crack for the opponent. It's a lot harder of a board to deal with. Anyways, we're very rich. Level 550 gold. Tiniest Titan, full lose streaking. We also have quite a bit of health. Oh, sorry, I'm not full lose streak. I actually won the last round, so I griefed my own lose streak. I could have been much more rich. But you know, it's okay. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't expect to be a little bit stronger than somebody else in the lobby. Tiny Titan is really good because in this comp, especially when you're like sacking early game rounds the way I have been, you run into a situation where excuse me, sorry, I had COVID or something before, and I have a lingering cough probably for a while now. But anyways, when you're playing around the Kalista Rakan setup, you just have to be very careful not to grief your late game, right? You want to make sure that you have enough econ to hit your board. Usually you want to be around 40 HP start of stage 4. The thing that with Tiniest Titan is what I was saying is that it guarantees that you're going to have the health. So not only is it a really good econ augment that gives you the HP, it gives you like basically free ability to sack the early game. Lose a bunch of rounds early game, get really good econ, so you can guarantee that when you roll down, you'll hit at least one Kalista and Rakan. And then it also recovers you that HP that you lost. So there's like no deficit to lose streaking a lot of your early game, which actually just solves a lot of the problems with like the only part of this comp that can really go bad is that you like, you know, if too many people hit Exodia, then Kalista 1 and Rakan 1 won't be stable. And if you're like too greedy, sacrificing too much of your HP in lieu of getting more econ, you might run into a problem where you get like absolutely like annihilated into your late game. But anyways, very chill game so far. Hopefully I explained a little bit. I know it's not going to be very interesting. Little Buddies is one of the best things you can hit in Kalista Rakan because you're playing so many low cost units as synergy bots. So we just take Little Buddies instantly. Kalista Rakan, the other thing that's really great is that all the generic augments that seem like they're like, you know, whatever, like they're not super broken, are all like giga broken on Kalista. So like Little Buddies is extremely good. Avenge the Fallen is extremely good. Combat Caster is the best thing you can hit. There's so many of like all of those ones, like anything that's like a general combat augment seems to be like one of the best things you can hit on Kalista. Like they're all so fucking good on Kalista. So like if you hit any of those, like Little Buddies, Combat Caster, or Avenge the Fallen, like any of those three, honestly, you're like in a spot where you might be able to play for first. Like they're that strong on the comp. You should never like pass up on I think those three. There's a couple others. I can't list them all because like there's prismatics and silvers that are really good with the comp, but especially Combat Caster. That one has been notoriously really strong on Kalista Rakan. But anyways, it's the same board all the time, so I'm just plugging it in, putting it on the putting all on the old tracker here. Set myself up for stage 4, and you're just gonna chill for most of the game. Like I said, I'm sure like every time I post a Kalista video, I feel like those videos get a couple dislikes, more so than the average of my channel, and they also get way less viewership. I understand that. It's just this is the way the patch is. I can't fabricate something that is not in the patch. I'm not gonna make videos on like niche comps of me failing niche comps, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna like talk about like, hey, you should play this random ass comp and just like bait everybody into losing a bunch of LP. It's like, you know, this is a channel about learning and improving at the game. So if it's a patch where there is a strong comp like this, and even though it's been like, you know, a bit rehashed, it's a daily upload channel, right? I could choose not to upload daily, but that's why we're doing another Kalista video. It's just, this is the patch, this is what you kind of have to play, and it would be disingenuous of me to like fabricate some fake board or some high roll board and tell you that that's the way to go. You know, we have to balance. So, you know, we had a couple fun videos the last couple days, but you know, it's been like around a week that I haven't showed a Kalista video, and you know, now it's time for a Kalista video. Anyways, but hopefully if you are trying to learn the game, maybe you just came back, maybe you came back from a long break and this is the first video that you get recommended, by all means, make sure to like and subscribe if you do like the content. And it's going to be a pretty chill game. I think towards the end of the game, I might have made a couple mistakes. Right now, there's nothing really to talk about. It's just basic Kalista game. There's Kalista with a bow. That would be huge for me if I get that. We'll see. Nobody seems to be playing Kalista. I think in general, like especially in your lobbies, if there are not many people playing Kalista, like Kalista can support 2 players, right? Like Kalista is like a 4-cost board typically can support 2 players. It's crazy how little people play Kalista anymore. And I think it's just because people got fed up of it. The same way people are fed up of watching Kalista videos according to like my channel analytics. It's a comp that's very boring, and I'm sure everybody has played it at least once or twice. Someone like me has played it like fucking feels like 100 times I've played this fucking comp, right? It's just the way it is. But it's really important to recognize that you know, if your goal is to get better at the game and to improve and to get placements and stuff like that, it is like a muscle that you have to exercise. You have to play it. Here I want to fit in Bastion because it would have been a little bit stronger. You can see that I just messed up and I didn't put in the last unit. I switched on to the Kalista. As you can see, I made Last Whisper. The reason I made Last Whisper is because I don't want to greed too much for Guinsoo. I don't have any components to make any Shred. So I don't have a component to make like Even Shroud, which is typically what you'll make for late game, or so it's always probably going to be Last Whisper. Double Guinsoo obviously caps higher, and I could greed for double Guinsoo, but I just don't want to take too many bad losses into my mid game, and I kind of want to set myself up for Rakan items. As you can see, I made Adaptive Helm as well a lot earlier in the game. The reason I made Adaptive Helm was just because of the items that I had. That's the best thing I could have done. It's not that bad on Rakan. It's not the greatest item on Rakan, but it actually is. I think it's still minus Delta. Like, it's still like a good item if you look at the stats. It's not like, you know, actively griefing. It's more so that you prefer not to make it in lieu of something like Gargoyles or Warmogs. My components aren't particularly great for Kalista, so, you know, we're fine. So I make Guinsoo. It gives me a little bit of tempo into this mid game. I already have a Kalista, so if I had a Rakan and I can make it to level 9, I'll be extremely fucking strong. We'll see. This guy has Vigor 2 already, so that's really scary. So of course I'm going to lose this fight. Like I said, or sorry, like I say in a lot of the previous videos that I make, you might notice that I'm losing a lot of these rounds. It's not because what my board is particularly weak or particularly bad. It's more so that with Tiniest Titan, you're basically like down a prismatic a lot of the time, right? My prismatic is giving me gold and health. It's not giving me any combat. It didn't give me any extra items. It didn't give me upgrades. It didn't give me anything that's making my board actively stronger. So you're expected a lot of times when you take Tiniest Titan that you're going to lose a lot of the rounds anyways. And that's part of it. Right now I'm 50 HP. Obviously I've been very like loose with how I've been playing. Like I've kind of been like loose streaking on purpose, or like not rolling ahead of time or buying charms, because I don't really care about preserving my HP that much. Because I will be able to like stabilize, right? This is a level 8. Level 8, 60 gold, 4-1. I am rich as fuck. I am so fucking rich. I'm just gonna roll. I found Rakan 1. I can roll pretty much till 30. I can roll as deep as I want here. The only problem that I have is that my items aren't particularly great. It's obviously going to be Redemption. I think it's always Redemption. I have Kalista 1, Rakan 1. I could greed and go level 9. It all depends on how strong I am relative to the rest of the lobby. Right now, I still have to roll a little bit though. I was a little bit like, this was when I was live, so I was probably talking to chat and stuff. I was probably like exclaiming about, look, I just hit Kalista and Rakan already. See, it's so broke. Like, you know, I was probably like talking to chat and making some memes. But you have to roll at least until multi-striker, so I don't have a Hecarim. So you want to roll until you have the complete board. Ideally, you're stable with a Kalista 1 and a Rakan 1. And then once you have Kalista 1, Rakan 1, you just kind of win out after that point. So as you can see here, this guy spent to win, level 7. He's been rolling a little bit. He has a couple upgrades. We beat him. It's fine. That's what I mean by stable on level 7. You're just going to try your best to be as stable as possible. Faerie Crown isn't that great. Reinforcement, I don't need it because I'm already rich as fuck. Balance budget isn't that great either, so I'm just gonna take 3's a crowd. Now 3's a crowd isn't that good. Like my augments don't synergize very well, but I didn't really hit anything good. I was looking for like a general combat. Long distance pals is pretty awful to play here. It's just like Rakan doesn't make good use of the stats. There's not really like a good benefit that you get from LDP, so that's why I decided to roll it away. But you know, it is what it is. So here I'm just going to roll until I find a Hecarim. And I'm Rakan 1, of course. Like, I understand that I'm Rakan 1 here. You don't have to roll for Rakan 2 because you should be stable. Right? I keep saying the word stable. I keep saying stable. If you don't know what I mean by stable, all that I mean when I say stable is that you're not losing by a lot. It's okay if you lose 1 or 2 rounds. That's what stable is. It means that, like, you're not getting, like, annihilated. Right? You're not just crashing and burning without a doubt, losing every single round and just like going straight to 8th. Stable means that, like, you know, you win a round, you might lose a round, but if you lose a round, it's going to be close. Like, all the rounds are close. So if you look at this round, I might win, I might lose. Who knows? Like, Kalista Rakan's broken, so I'm probably going to win this round. Of, like, you know, it's pretty obvious, right? That's a Rakan 1. It's not even a Rakan 2. And as you can see, my items aren't perfect, right? I don't have double Guinsoo, Stone Plate, Warmogs. But the thing is that I'm stable, right? I'm not gonna like get just free fall, instantly lose right now. So I have time to rebuild my econ. I can go to level 9, right? Try and play for a first with like a high capped board. I could also roll a lot later, roll a lot more gold to make sure that I hit everything. At this point in the game, the way that I'm looking at it is like I'll just wait to roll for Rakan. It's a little bit contested because there's another guy playing like warriors with preservers. So if you look at this guy, he has 2 Rakans on bench. I don't really care about like racing these guys to try and hit my board. This guy's like very low HP, so I expect him to just die off before I need to roll for Rakan. That's a little bit of wishful thinking though, because I think he actually beats me in one of these fights later in the game. So look, see, this is what I mean. Kalista broken. I already have Kalista 2 as well, so we're fine. He just narrowly didn't die. Man, it's so unlucky. He has 1 HP because this guy actually bites me bites me back later. Because like I look at him and I think to myself, yeah, like I'll just wait for him to die and then I'll roll for Rakans. Spoiler alert, he's gonna live for a really long time. It's gonna annoy me. It's gonna make my game really annoying. But you know, if I just killed him by 1 extra unit though, he would have been dead. So it was so close. I just needed 1 guy to live. But anyways, if this is an improvement to how strong the comp is, of course, like, there's a lot of people that are greeting. There's a lot of people that haven't hit their full boards, like rerolls, just contested mages. But this is how this is how the games normally go. So long as you have good items, right? You have to start with at least some sort of Kalista item, right? Like, you can't just always hard force into Kalista, because like then you'll run into problems where like you're not in a good spot. I had a really strong econ augment right at Tiny's Titans, recovered a bunch of health, I had a shit ton of gold. Obviously I high rolled the Kalista and the Rakan, but if I didn't, I would have had enough gold to roll down to hit them, because if you don't find a single copy of Rakan, sometimes that happens, right? So you can't just like play it from wherever spot. You have to make sure that you're very rich. I also had started out with component anvils. I didn't hit a Gwynsu off my component anvils, which was unfortunate. But with the component anvils, I was able to get at least the rod that I could have made the Gwynsu by getting the bow on the carousel. So, you know, where you look at the game and you can say that it's a little bit high roll, like, you know, oh, you got a Kalista and a Rakan for free. You also have to look at it that, you know, I started the game off with component anvils and I didn't have Warmogs and Gwynsu, right? If I started the game off with component anvils and I had Warmogs, Gwynsu on my bench, I think it would be even I think that would have been a high roll, you know what I mean? So it's fine. Here I'm not sure. Okay, so this is the problem. I misread this. You see this Queen's Gambit thing? It says if you win, gain a copy of your highest cost Faerie. So what I did is I switched out the Milio for the Seraphine, because in the I think it always gives Rakan, like if it has to choose between Kalista and Rakan, it always gives you Rakan for some reason. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't like tested it, but every time I took it, I always get Rakan. So I think that's the case. I'm not 100% sure. So I was doing that to get a copy of Rakan. Now the problem is I'm fighting Briar 2 with a Hunter emblem. I'm fighting 6 Hunter Briar 2 or 4 Hunter Briar 2. I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know how this guy has a Briar 2 on level 8. Like, you know, whatever, I guess. So I don't get the Rakan. So I bought that charm because, so, you know, it was kind of wasted. So it's unfortunate. I think if I fought anybody else, I probably would have won that round. But like I said, we're stable, right? We started the round off with 50 HP and we're ending it with 50 HP. And we're going to go straight to 9 here. I'm just going to roll on level 9 odds to try and hit some 5 costs. Little Buddy's a little bit awkward to balance now. The reason is because, like, usually you would drop Katarina for a Seraphine or Katarina for another Faerie unit. And dropping the Katarina for a Faerie unit will give you an extra Little Buddy. But now I'm Little Buddies with Three's Company. So I don't have a lot of good value. That's what I mean. My augments didn't work out perfectly. But that's fine if they don't work out perfectly. It's not the end of the world. It's obviously going to be Morello. Maybe Morello Hodge. Morello Shojin is probably best if I were picking. Yeah, I would make Morello Shojin here. Yeah, because you put Morello on you put Morello Shojin on the Milio because Milio's gonna drop items anyways, so I'll cast more. We hit a Morgana 2, that's why we go to level 9. And now we're gonna roll as much as we can to try and find this Rakan. Like I said, it's hard to balance the Little Buddies and the Three's Company value. So right now I'm just playing it that I have 2 Little Buddies and 2 Three's Company value, and I think that's okay. I technically have 3 Little Buddies, but I will drop the Jax for a Camille as soon as I get that opportunity. But yeah, we have all the utility dealt with. Our Rakan items aren't the best. We would like to eventually put maybe a better Rakan item, like a Gargoyle or a Warmogs or something like that. But we can worry about that later. We get a remover every round, so we can totally play around that. This guy was one guy. So you saw the guy I just scouted. He doesn't have many 4 costs on bench, but keep your eyes peeled because that's gonna be something a little bit later. He has like 4 copies of Olaf and like no copies of Varus on his bench. Just pay attention because that's gonna come to bite me. Now I'm Rakan paired, so I'm just gonna roll really deep every single turn. I'm not really trying to like go level 10 here. I think I can win on level 9. When you go level 10, you're either playing another Preserver or you're playing Arcana to get the Tom Kench buff. But this Rakan 1 now is going to be a little bit of a problem, right? Stage 5, when people hit like very strong boards or they hit like their more complete boards, the Rakan can die a lot more easily. So for example, this guy, he has Hunting Frenzy, so all his units are executing. So with the execute, you can see my Rakan died very, very soon. If he hits a couple more upgrades, he can very easily just beat me Right now he's 50 gold. He's greeting, right? He doesn't have everybody upgraded. He has Tom Kench and Terracon bench, right? He doesn't have Jinx 3 or anything like that. So that guy especially, he can completely annihilate. He would have won that fight if he rolled down his gold. So we're getting into that area where things are getting a little bit stressful. You really want to hit this Rakan. If you look, the guy that I left at 1 HP has basically been winning like every single fight because he hit everything, including like Rakan 2. So it's a little bit difficult. Yeah, this guy. So he's like 6 warrior, like giga capped board. So it's actually very hard for him to die. So we have to roll. I was initially gonna wait until he died and then roll for the Rakan 2. That's typically what you can do if you're in like a more powerful position than somebody else. You can wait to roll so that you're not like, you know, somebody isn't holding a bunch of copies of the same unit as you. But you know, I'm starting to lose fights here. I don't think that I'm keeping up with the pace of my lobby anymore. Morgana has no items, so she's not going to do anything until I get items on that Morgana 2. And with the Rakan 1, there's a lot of these fights that are going to be very, very close. Just because I don't have that, like, infinite sustaining super tank. You know, so that's why I was rolling a little bit. Even though I originally planned on waiting as long as possible. Here, Morgana item is good, or a Camille item is good. So both would be fine. Also, like, gargoyles looks really juicy to me because I can easily just put gargoyles on the Rakan. Yeah, perfect. So we get gargoyles for Rakan. Redemption is mostly like a healing item, but I have multiple preservers in anyway, so it's not that important. I can actually put the redemption on the Morgana. Just give the Morgana a little bit more sustain. And redemption's effect works with adjacent units, right? So it's very nice. Right, the passive healing from the healing from redemption will still get applied to the Rakan. Yeah, I should put redemption on Morgana and then just put all tank items on Rakan. Yeah, that's what I should do. Nice, perfect, nice easy game so far. I should be scouting a little bit more, just making sure that my positioning is good. For example, this Fiora, if she dashes to my Kalista. Now I cannot predict the Fiora because she dashes to a random opponent, right? Like, she has the Prowler's Claw, so there's no way for me to properly position around this Fiora. She can just get onto my Kalista really easily. So it's hard for specifically this guy. Rakan 2, I win this fight, by the way. I might not win it now because it's, yeah, just the fucking Gwen. God damn it. I would have won that if it was, Rakan 2, because I just needed enough time for the Kalista to do a little bit more damage, but then Gwen just cleaned up. It's unfortunate. But it is what it is. This is what happens with your Kalista boards, right? This happens with all 4-cost boards, by the way, right? If you're contested on a 4-cost unit, or even if you have a good roll down, like I'm level 9, I had like infinite gold. I know I rolled on level 9, I could have rolled like 100 gold on level 8. I definitely would have had Rakan 2. But it's like I'm trying to outcap the rest of the lobby because I'm trying to play for a first here. But either way, this happens a lot. But as you can see, I'm still winning most of my rounds with Rakan 1, right? Like, some of these boards are insane, and they're like either close fights or they're like, you know, that fight was very close. It came down to Gwen like double killing my last 2 units. If I got like a Zillion bomb off, like one more Zillion bomb, I might have won against like 6 warrior, Gwen 2, Fiora 2, Rakan 2. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? Like the comp is that, like, this is the problem with the comp, is like how stable it is at 1-star units. You have to buff all the other 4-costs to be as stable, then it will be like a giga 4-cost meta, by the way. That's like a separate issue. Or you have to make it like a little bit less stable, like that, like you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason why this comp should be winning against like a Briar 2, like with a Rakan 1. It's like my items aren't even perfect, right? It's not like I have perfect items. It's not like I have double Gwinsu on Kalista and I have perfect Rakan items. It's like I played very tempo in the mid game to make sure that I didn't lose too much HP, and then like you see what I'm saying? It's like crazy. I already have anti-heal. I don't think I need red buff. Even Shroud's probably better than some of the other stuff, or I can just take Hodge. Hodge is fine. Hodge on Camille is pretty good. And finally we hit Rakan 2. Stage 6 Rakan 2, by the way. This is what happens, right? A lot of times you'll die before these things happen with other comps, but You know, we hit Kalista, we're gone too finally. We're good to go. We could maybe level to 10 here. I'm not entirely sure how it will play out. I think this is this the guy that's a problem? There's one guy that's like a big problem, and what happens is I fight the clone and it completely messes me up. But this guy has, this is the hunting frenzy guy. So he finally, like, he just tried to go to level 9. He's 1 HP level 9. He has execute. So he actually just beat me. 6 Hunter is very, very strong. So he has Hunter, Hunter Smolder with Gwinsu and fucking Sniper's Focus, right? He has Hunting Frenzy, so all his Hunters get execute. 6 Hunter is very strong. It is a very high cap board. It's hard to position, especially when they have the execute. But it can come down to a charm diff a lot of the times. With my comp specifically. I'm pretty sure now with Recon 2, I beat the warrior player, by the way. So I'm not too concerned about the warrior player. As you can see, I do have a shockingly low amount of scouting right now. I hit Champ Duplicator because then I can just get a Camille 2. Camille 2 does a lot for the board. She's going to have 3 items with the Milio. But basically, there's one guy that I fought. I fought him like a couple rounds ago. But I didn't scout because I think I fought his clone a couple rounds ago. I might be wrong about that. But this board now, they should get stuck on the Recon. I don't think the warrior player can beat me unless the Fiora. Oh, okay, never mind. I think I lose against him now. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I beat this guy so long as the Fiora doesn't randomly reset on the fucking Kalista. But he reset on the Kalista, so he beat me. That's a Prowler's Claw diff. I'm pretty sure without Prowler's Claw, I can at least position a little bit better to make sure I don't die there. Just rolling. Okay, this guy. Okay, so I fought his clone. I fought his clone before. So I didn't see this shit. Did you see what I saw? Look at his bench. What the fuck? He has... Okay, look at him. He has... He doesn't even have that many, right? So how many is that? He has 3 Olafs. He has 5 Olafs, 5 Varus. Right? He's 20 gold, level 9, 5 Olaf, 5 Varus. Right? Correct? We counted correctly? 5 Olaf, 5 Varus, 5 Diana. That's it, right? 5 Olaf, 5 Varus, right? I didn't scout. I think I should have. Okay, now he has 6 Varus. He's rolling for it. That's the part where I missed. You can probably see what's gonna happen this game. Now he has 6 Varus, 5 Olaf. Oh man, I wish I scouted better because we'll figure it out later. I think this is the part where I messed up. See, I didn't recognize that he's 6 Varus here. Yeah, that's on me. I didn't even fight his clone. I fought his clone a while ago, but I think he didn't have items then, or he didn't have units then. And now I'm fighting his real, and I don't notice that it's 6 Varus. Yeah, so this guy's 7 Frost. Doesn't matter. 7 Frost isn't going to beat Kalista. I reset on the proper unit. You always want to be same side with these comps because Recons can be harder to kill often in the other person's front line. So you want Kalista to reset on the enemy carry. So you want her to be closer to the enemy carry so she doesn't like start trolling and hitting the other side. I'm not sure what the best item here is. Faerie Crown's pretty good for what's her name? For Morgana. Because then I could get another little buddy. Right? Like, if I put Faerie Crown on Morgana, then I can replace one of my Faerie units with another little buddy. Like, I can replace the Katarina or the, like, I know I have Three's Company, but I think Three's Company isn't doing that much anymore. So I took this just to replace, to get another little buddy, because now I have a lot of big buddies. Right? I have Morgana 2, I have Camille 2, so I think it'd be a lot better to, like, replace Katarina with either a Preserver, so Bard, or another 1 or 2 cost unit. And it might be a little bit better. At least that was my thought process. I'm not sure if that's exactly right. Never play 7 Faerie because you lose too much by losing Zillion and Chrono and Preserver. But as you can see, I didn't properly scout for the other guy. He's probably like, you know, he's very close to hitting Varus 3 and other guy 3. What's it called? And Olaf 3. So I think that's what this game's going to come down to. While it has been a very, like, chill game, we're basically just, like, steamrolling through everybody, having a great, grand old time here. It's going to come down to this final 2. and I wasn't properly paying attention. This is completely on my fault, right? I wasn't properly paying attention to what he was doing with his bench. I'm not sure if I even could have done anything because I rolled really deep to get upgrades. I'm rolling here because I'm just trying to end the game. I kind of came to the conclusion that I shouldn't go level 10. And instead I'm just trying to like play around my board as well as I can. As you can see here, he is one off of Varus 3. So, you know, I let that happen. I could have rolled for Varus's a little bit earlier in the game. We'll see if he actually hits. You know, I won't spoil anything. But it was a huge mistake, right? It was a huge mistake by me. He didn't have that much gold. When I first scouted, or when I scouted, I only saw like 5 copies of Varus. So I wasn't too concerned. Now he's off by 1. There's not even that many 4 costs that are gone from the pool, right? I'm only playing Kalista 2, Rakan 2. So it's not even like the whole game. I guess the other guy lived up until now with the Gwen 2, Fiora 2, Karma 2. But yeah, this guy has basically no gold. As you can see, I'm starting to panic. It's like, okay, I gotta roll. I'm just rolling now because I know that I'm stronger than him. The only way he beats me is if he hits the units. So I'm rolling as much as I can. What you can also do is buy sell units, right? So here I'm gonna buy sell the 4 cost to make sure that they're back in the pool, because if they're in my shop, he can't see them in his shop. He didn't hit yet. He rolled all his gold again. But it's basically going to come down to this round. If he hits this round, I lose the game. And if he doesn't hit this round, I can probably win. Because 20 HP on stage 7, it should be enough. So as you can see, I'm going to buy, sell Gwen. I was a little bit slow. Upgrade Milio. I should just roll as many shops. I'm looking for a good charm as well. But he hit Varus 3, you can see on the side. So I lose. That's going to be it, right? We lose to Varus 3. That's how this game kind of ends. It's probably double. It could be double Gwynsu, but I think the game's just over. Double Gwynsu would have been great because give me a little bit more damage. A 3-star 4 cost in most cases just is GG, right? This board isn't that broken. That's going to be a 3-star 4 cost. Varus is one of the better ones. Units like I think Gwen was really shit, and she might still be shit because she takes time to ramp up. Because like, you know, her first cast or her second cast, she doesn't do that much damage. It's only after like her 3rd cast, so there's a chance that I can beat that. As you can see, Varus casts once. My whole fucking board is dead. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, I'm not sure if this guy has a YouTube channel. He's going for a clip. He might be. So, I'm just gonna... I just ride out. Like, you know, there's no need to, like, FF. Like, I'm not salty or anything. Because that's entirely my fault. I should have scouted a little bit better. If I scouted a little bit better, I could have rolled for Varus earlier. I don't think it would have made that much of a difference because I was really broke. It's just one of those unfortunate circumstances. If I hit the Rakan 2 earlier, I was rolling really aggressively for the Rakan 2 to make sure that I didn't grief my game. To make sure that I got... Because, like, a lot of the fights against some of these players was, like, a Rakan 1, Rakan 2 diff, especially in Stage 5 and Stage 6. Here, I was... Okay, so I'll tell you my positioning. This was, like, my last-ditch effort. I clumped everybody on the opposite side because I wanted to see if I can waste a Varus cast. Now, I don't think he even saw me. Did he even scout my board? Watch me positioning, right? He doesn't scout my board here, right? Am I fucking crazy? So he just kind of like, he just took the 50-50 gamble that I was going to position on the opposite side, which I guess is like maybe makes sense, like, you know, because I was on this side last turn. So he just swapped sides. Because, like, you know, I was trying my best not to like to do it low key, but basically what I was trying to do is Varus usually ults on like the clump that he first casts upon. So I wanted Varus to get stuck clumping on the left side, and then maybe my right side would live for a second cast. You know, the same way my Rakan lived over here. I was hoping that, like, you know, Varus would get stuck on that side, then my Kalista can ramp up, and maybe I can like reset on the Varus and maybe like cheese a win. So I was trying. I tried something. You know, the alternative was I just sell my whole board and try and hit a 3-star 5 cost, right? I sell everything, go from Morgana 3 or something. But, you know, you just try something there to try and win the game. But it was just unfortunate because the other guy with the Rakan just lived forever. A lot of my strategy for playing for first, this comp usually doesn't go first all the time, by the way. It's more of like a very consistent 2/3/4 with Kalista. But of course, I had the opportunity to play for a first, and I tried it. That guy hit Varus 3, you know, scammed me quote unquote scammed me, but you know, it was mostly my fault. I didn't scout him earlier. I could have maybe held Varus's. If I knew that was a strategy, I would have played more towards denying the Varus 3. Is what it is. Also, if I knew that ahead of time and I saw that I couldn't deny the Varus, I could have held extra Kalistas, maybe hit Kalista 3 to compensate. But either way, that's the game. So if you like Kalista Rakan, make sure to try it out. Make sure to play it. If you've been playing it already, good for you. If you enjoy the comp, that's even more great. I don't particularly enjoy it, but you know, it is what it is. You have to play it. If you have a spot like mine, and you start the game off and you're contested, you need to find a pivot angle, it's usually the best comp you could play. But thank you for watching. Hopefully that was enjoyable, and have a great rest of your day.